What would you do if the person sleeping next to you suddenly started living a life you weren't invited into? The first time it hit me, it was 2:17 a.m., and the blue glow of her phone lit up the bedroom ceiling like a warning sign I should have noticed sooner. She was turned away from me, whispering, soft, careful, intimate. Not the way you talk to a coworker. Not the way you talk to a friend. I remember holding my breath, pretending to be asleep, as she quietly laughed, a laugh I hadn't heard in months. And then I heard it. Yeah, I'll wear it next time. I know it's your favorite. My stomach dropped, because my wife had never cared about sports a day in her life. And I had no idea whose favorite she was talking about until 3 days later. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel, tell us where you're from, and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. It started small. Emily used to hate sports. I mean, genuinely hate them. Sundays were ours. Brunch at that little spot on 8th Avenue in Manhattan, walks through Central Park, lazy afternoons watching movies. If a game was on, she'd roll her eyes and call it background noise for men who peak in high school. So when she suddenly started watching games, I noticed. At first, it was harmless. She'd sit on the couch scrolling her phone while a football game played in the background. Then she started asking questions. What's a first down? Why do they wear different colors? It felt off. Then came the jersey. I walked into our apartment on West 46th Street one evening, and there she was, standing in front of the mirror, adjusting a navy blue football jersey. I froze. You bought that? I asked. She turned, smiling too quickly. Yeah, thought I'd get into it, you know? Try something new. I looked at the number on the front. 12. Not my team. Not even close. You don't even know what team that is, I said. She shrugged. It looked cute. Cute. That word echoed in my head longer than it should have. A week later, I found the receipt. It wasn't from a sports store. It was from a boutique in Soho that didn't even sell jerseys, custom embroidery, high-end fabrics. This wasn't some random purchase. Someone had made that for her. Or worse, for him. That's when the humiliation started creeping in. At a dinner party in Tribeca, our friends joked about Emily suddenly becoming the sports girl. She laughed, leaning into it, playing the part. But when someone asked which team she supported, she hesitated, just long enough for it to be awkward. The Titans, she said. Everyone laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it didn't fit her. I sat there, smiling, while something inside me quietly cracked. The late nights got more frequent. The phone calls more secretive. She started going out with coworkers from her marketing firm near Madison Avenue, coming home smelling like a different life. I stopped asking questions. Not because I didn't want answers, but because I was afraid of them. The real confirmation came on a Thursday. She left her phone on the kitchen counter while she showered. It buzzed once. Then again. I wasn't proud of what I did next, but I did it anyway. The message preview was enough. Wear the jersey tonight. I want you to walk in wearing only that. My hands started shaking. I unlocked the phone. There he was. Jason. Saved under a fake name, Lena Office. Their messages weren't just inappropriate. They were detailed, planned, intimate in ways that made my skin crawl. Photos, voice notes, hotel reservations. One location kept repeating. A boutique hotel in Soho, just 6 blocks from where we lived. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I broke. I remember sitting on the bathroom floor, the shower still running, hearing her hum behind the door like nothing in the world was wrong. I pressed my forehead against the cold tile and tried to breathe. Because in that moment, I realized something terrifying. She didn't think she'd get caught. They never do. That's when I stopped being the victim and started becoming something else. I began collecting everything. Screenshots, receipts, call logs. I hired a private investigator, an old contact who worked cases around Lower Manhattan. Within a week, I had photos. There she was, walking into the Mercer Hotel on Prince Street, wearing that jersey. Him beside her. Jason was exactly what I expected. Mid-30s, smug, the kind of guy who thought consequences were for other people. They walked in like they owned the world, like I didn't exist. But I was about to make sure they remembered me. I met with a lawyer near Wall Street. Quiet office, no nonsense. Do you want a divorce? She asked. Or do you want to win? I didn't hesitate. I want everything. So we built the trap. Emily didn't know the apartment was in my name. She didn't know the joint accounts had clauses she'd never bothered to read. She didn't know that New York courts had very specific opinions about infidelity when it came to asset division, especially when documented. And she definitely didn't know about the clause in Jason's company contract. Turns out, he worked for a financial firm with a strict morality clause tied to client relations. Affairs with married client spouses? Career ending. The night everything collapsed was a Friday. She told me she had a late meeting. I told her I'd be working too. Instead, I reserved a private room at a restaurant in Soho. Invited a few key people, mutual friends, her boss, and someone from Jason's firm. Then I waited. At exactly 9:12 p.m., the doors opened. Emily walked in, wearing the jersey, Jason right behind her. The room went silent. She froze when she saw me. What is this?" she stammered. I stood up slowly, calm in a way I hadn't felt in months. "This," I said, sliding a folder across the table, "is the end of your lies." Inside were copies of everything. Photos, messages, hotel records. Her boss looked at her like she was a stranger. Jason didn't even try to speak. He just stared at the table, pale, realizing too late what was happening. "You humiliated me," I said quietly. "You turned our life into a joke." Emily started crying, reaching for me. "Please, we can talk about this." "No," I cut her off. "We're done talking." The fallout was immediate. Her job? Gone within a week. Jason? Fired the next day. The apartment? Mine. The accounts? Frozen, then legally separated, with most of it staying with me. But the worst part for her wasn't the money. It was the silence. Friends stopped calling. Invitations disappeared. The world she thought she controlled erased her. Months later, I saw her once. Outside a coffee shop on 3rd Avenue. No jersey. No confidence. Just someone I barely recognized. She looked at me like she wanted to say something. I kept walking, because by then, there was nothing left to hear. And the last thing I ever felt for her wasn't anger. It was nothing at all. The end.